Hey, welcome back. We are continuing our weekly series on all things job interview, career transition, kind of everything in between. So these are supposed to be short and sweet tips for you to take and put into action in your job search and interview process. So today we're continuing with common pitfalls and some things that can go wrong and often do go wrong in interviews and how you can avoid those things. So, one of the most common pitfalls that happens in interviews is candidates talking too long. And I totally understand why this happens because when you're a candidate and you have this very short interview, maybe it's 30 minutes, 45, 60 minutes, you feel that you have this very limited time to get all your answers in. And when you have the stage, you don't want to waste that. And so you kind of get everything in. I've said it before, but just remember that your interviewer is a human being too, and they have a human attention span, and think about your own attention span and how long that is. And even though an interview is kind of an odd, constructed thing, and it's not how normal, conversation goes, you still can't push by talking too long. Because your interviewer's attention will eventually fade, and that's not something you want to do. So the way that I combat this is thinking about my answers kind of like an outline. So if you have three main bullet points, you want to hit the kind of those three main bullet points first. If you have time, if your interviewer digs in, you can hit the sub bullets underneath those, but don't start with your 3-minute answer, your 4-minute answer. Start with your 30-second answer, and hit those kind of key headlines. Something that I love to do is, once you hit your 3 bullet points, keep it nice and short and sweet. Ask your interviewer, I'm happy to delve into any more of that if you have any questions, or if there's anything that you would like me to follow up on, I'd be more than happy to. Then that lets the interviewer hone in on, hey, well, you mentioned this about overhauling your sales processes. Can you tell me more about that? It puts the control back in with them and lets them dig in where they would like to, rather than possibly zoning out over a 3 or 4-minute answer. So lots of ways to combat it. You can still hit your main bullet points and still get all your key points in, but it also lets your interviewer in on the process, and it makes it a bit more of a conversation, which is nice. So Stephanie, what would you add to this?
Yeah, Libby, I love what you're saying about keeping it conversational. It gives them an opportunity to ask a follow-up question and in the area that they're interested in, right? So it keeps the conversation going. I will also just say, from a human perspective, being on the other side and interviewing, I once had an interview where I asked someone, just something very basic, hey, how you doing? How's your day going? Or, how's the weather where you are or something, and got a very, very long answer to how's your day going? And I did not need to ask a single other question, because as a person looking to hire somebody that I wanted to then work with, I did not want to ever have that experience again. We never got the floor back to ask an actual question. And so just a general self-awareness, is something that you're communicating with, an ability to answer, particularly those icebreaker questions, just very, you lob the ball back, you practice, like, oh, it's going well. I went to the store this morning. How's your day going? And practice, just make sure you're in that comfortable rhythm, even on the basic questions, because you really are, whether or not you're just nervous and you're talking because you're nervous, or you're trying to get the information in, you're setting the tone for sort of a relationship. Yeah. Because when you're hiring someone, you're hiring for a relationship. You're going to be working together, and no one wants to work with somebody that is going to talk their ear off, every time you enter into the room and, to the water cooler, just take a break or pass someone in the hallway. And maybe, once again, maybe it's just concerns about this particular conversation, but you don't want to give off that impression. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's better, I think, to talk a little less than you would like, and to offer more than it is to drone on about something. So I really, really like your approach, Libby. I think that's great. I've also liked the approach that you've shared in the past, this idea of, thinking about what you would say to a friend if a friend asked you what your day was. And maybe your best friend, you would, lay it all out there in one moment. But, an acquaintance, a regular friend, where there's a give and take in the conversation. And we have to have that in an interview to make it work as well.
Yeah, agreed.
So that's what we've got for you guys today. We're looking forward to seeing you next week. And feel free to reach out via private message if you'd like to talk with either of us more about resumes or presentation skills. Have a good one.
Bye, everybody.